Hello and welcome to another virtual Messy Church. Can you believe it's springtime already? And when you look outside, there are signs of new life everywhere. There are flowers blooming in the flower beds, there's blossom coming on the trees, there are signs of new leaves growing on trees after being bare all winter. There's signs of new life on ponds and rivers as ducklings and chicks start to hatch. There's lots of new life on farms as calves and bunny rabbits and piglets start to be born. There's lambs galloping around in fields. It's a really exciting time of year. In fact, I think that springtime is probably my favourite time of year. It's also a time, importantly, when Christians remember Easter, a time when Jesus died on the cross and rose again, bringing us hope of new life and good news that brings. So the theme of today's Messy Church is going to be Easter, new life and good news. And as usual, there's going to be lots of craft ideas, lots of worship, some story, some music. I have heard that Lavender and Bubblegum will be here later. I know you're looking forward to that. But I thought we'd start today's Messy Church with a quick quiz, just to see how much you remember about the Easter story. So grab some paper and a pencil, and when you are ready, you can restart the video, and I will give you the answers at the end. Good luck. So, question 1. We are currently in the period we call Lent, which is the 6 weeks prior to Easter. What do people often do during Lent? What do people often do during Lent? Question number 2. What do we call the week leading up to Easter? What do we call the week leading up to Easter? Question number 3. On Palm Sunday, what did people wave in the air to welcome Jesus as he rode on a donkey into Jerusalem? On Palm Sunday, what did people wave in the air as they welcomed Jesus into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday? Question 4. What is the name of the day when we remember Jesus' Last Supper with his friends? What is the name of the day that we remember Jesus' Last Supper with his friends? Question number 5. What was the name of the garden where Jesus and his friends went after their last meal? His friends fell asleep, but Jesus was later arrested. What was the name of that garden? Question 6. This man here betrayed his friend Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, and he identified Jesus with a kiss. What was his name? What was the name of this man who betrayed his friend Jesus for 30 pieces of silver by giving Jesus a kiss? Do you know? Question number 7. What is the name of the day when Jesus was crucified on the cross? What is the name of the day when Jesus was crucified on the cross? Question number 8. Here we have 3 men. On the left is Jesus. In the middle is Pontius Pilate, who presided over Jesus' trial and later ordered his crucifixion. And on the right is a man who was set free instead of Jesus. Do you know his name? Who was the man who was set free instead of Jesus? Do you know his name? Question number 9. Where was Jesus placed after he had died? Where was Jesus placed after he had died? Question number 10. After his crucifixion on the cross, how many days later did Jesus rise again? So after his crucifixion on the cross, how many days later did Jesus rise again? Question 11 is an easy one. What do we call the day that Christians celebrate Jesus' resurrection? What do we call that day that we celebrate Jesus' resurrection? Question 12. Who was the first person that Jesus appeared to after he had risen again? What was the name of the first person that Jesus appeared to after he had risen? And number 13. The first Easter eggs were dyed red to remember Jesus on the cross. Is this true or false? What do you think? The first Easter eggs were dyed red to remember Jesus on the cross. Do you think that is true, or am I making it up? So the start of our story takes us back to Palm Sunday, when Jesus decided to travel to Jerusalem again. Soon I'm going to die, he told his disciples, but they didn't understand. It was festival time in Jerusalem, and Jesus borrowed a donkey. He rode it into Jerusalem. When the people saw him coming, they waved palm leaves in the air. Jesus is our king, they shouted. Now, sadly, there were some people in Jerusalem who didn't like Jesus, and they plotted against him. They gave 30 pieces of silver to Judas, one of Jesus' friends, if he promised to help them. And he said yes. One night, Jesus gathered together his special friends, his disciples, to have a really special supper with them. And he said to them again, I'm going to die soon. But they still just didn't understand. While they were eating their dinner, Judas slipped out. He was going off to meet the men who were plotting against Jesus. Don't forget that they've offered to give him money. Jesus took some bread and wine and said, Each time you eat bread and drink wine, remember me. Okay, to make your bread rolls, I have taken a simple recipe from the BBC Good Food website. What you will need is 500 grams of strong white bread flour and a little extra for dusting, 7-gram sachet of fast action yeast, 1 teaspoon of white caster sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sunflower oil with a little extra for the surface and for your... Okay, so then just tip your flour, your yeast, your salt and your sugar into a bowl, and then pour 325 millilitres of warm water over the top. And then you can stir with a spatula or a spoon, or use your nice clean hands. You should then be left with a shaggy kind of dough like this. And I'm going to cover it and I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes. Once you've kneaded your dough for 10 minutes on a lightly oiled surface, roll it into a sausage shape and cut into 8 different sections and roll them each into small ball shapes. Okay, so I've put my little bread rolls, my balls of dough, onto a lightly dusted baking sheet, and I'm now going to cover them with a damp tea towel, clean damp tea towel, and I'm going to place them somewhere warm for 40 minutes to 1 hour, or until they have almost doubled in size. So after leaving my dough to rise or double in size for 40 minutes to an hour, I popped them in the oven after dusting them with some flour. The oven needs to be at 210 degrees, and I baked them for 25 to 30 minutes. So to recreate the cup that Jesus might have used on the night of his Last Supper, I just bought some of these cheap plastic wine glasses from the local supermarket or pound store. Used some pens that we already had at home to decorate it a little bit, and some stickers and some kind of gems that we found in our crafty drawer. And I filled it with Ribena to make it look like the red wine that Jesus asked his disciples to drink. After the supper, Jesus took his disciples to the Garden of Gethsemane. Let's pray here, he said, but they all fell asleep. So Jesus prayed on his own in the garden. It was really dark. Suddenly there was a lot of noise. Judas led Jesus' enemies to him. Jesus' disciples all woke up. They were scared and they all ran away. The soldiers arrested Jesus and took him away. Some people saw Peter watching. You're one of Jesus' friends, they said. Peter was really frightened and said, no, I've never heard of him. But it wasn't true. And afterwards, Peter was very sorry for what he'd said. Soldiers took Jesus to see the Roman ruler, and he said, "This man has done nothing wrong." But the people all shouted, "Kill him! Kill him!" So the soldiers took Jesus away, and they nailed him to a wooden cross, and they left him to die. Jesus' family and his friends were very sad because they'd lost such a special person. And that's the day we now call Good Friday.
What you need for doing these eggshell crosses is some eggs, some food colouring, white wine vinegar and water, a pen and pencil and card, and some PVA glue. So the first task is to hard boil our eggs. You put the eggs in cold water and you put it on the boil for about 12 minutes. You want them to be hard boiled so it's easier to peel the eggshell off later. While you're boiling your eggs, you can prepare your dye. This is approximately 300 millilitres of water with 15 drops of red food colouring and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Cool your eggs down in some cold water, and then when they're at room temperature again, you can put them into your dye vinegar food colouring mixture. I left the eggs in for about 3 hours to get really vibrant, and then I peeled off the eggshell. Some bits came off quite big, the blue one came off quite big, but the green one coming off in small parts. It doesn't really matter how big the parts are, because you can always break the big ones up into smaller bits anyway. I've taken some thick paper, card is also good, you need something robust for the eggshells, and I've used the width of a ruler to create this cross template, which takes up most of the piece of A4. I decided to go over the edge of the cross with a gold pen, just to give a nice shiny effect when I put the eggshells on. You could also use a black pen. Now that we've got all our eggshell pieces, we're going to put some PVA glue all over the cross and get adding the eggshells. I'm going to do them in a rough sort of pattern. You could have them as mosaics with all different colours, or you could do stripes, a whole load of things you could do. So I've now put my green pieces in the centre. If they're quite curved, you might want to break them into some smaller pieces so that they stick better. It's quite nice if you have different sizes of eggshells. So the blue came off in bigger bits. So I've gone now from my green to my pink to my blue, and I'm going to finish with my red. And here's the final cross. All the pieces have stuck. The glue's got a little bit more to dry, but you see the effect that we can get by using eggshells, which represent new life, on the cross, which represents Jesus's life given for us.
Jesus' friends buried him in a tomb, and they rolled a huge heavy stone across the doorway. But when they came back 3 days later, the stone had been rolled away, and 2 angels were inside the tomb. "Don't be afraid," said the angels, "because Jesus is alive. He has risen from the dead." Okay, so if you fancy having a little go at some of my little pom-pom friends here, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to need. So you're going to need some wool. I had some yellow and some grey wool left over, so I've used those. You need some card, and you need to cut your card into circles of the same size with a hole in the middle, so they can be placed over the top of each other like that. You will also need some scissors, some coloured papers, and some googly eyes, and I used some spaghetti for my whiskers here. And I made a rabbit and a chick, although people in my house seem to think this looks more like a cat, but that's fine, I know it's a rabbit. Depending on what colour wool you've got, have a go at making some different animals. It's completely up to you. So the first thing you need to do is, with 2 of your circles that you've cut out of the card, you need to wrap some wool round and round and round until the hole in the middle is quite small, okay? And that can take some time, so just be really patient as you're wrapping the wool around and around, okay? And eventually you'll get to the point where hopefully your circles look like this, okay? So I can feel it's nice and fat, okay? Now this is the tricky part, and you might need to ask a grown-up to help you to do this, because you need to try and get your scissors in between, whoopsie, that's why it's sometimes helpful to have somebody to help here. Get your scissors in between the two pieces of card, and you need to snip around the outside of your wool like that, okay? And keep going until you've cut all the way around the outside. Okay, once you've got to that stage, and as you can see, it is quite tricky and a little bit fiddly, you need to get a spare piece of wool and wrap it in between the two circles, wrap it around that circle, and we're just going to tie it in the middle like that. You might want to do it twice just to make sure it's really secure. Now I'm a bit of a pom-pom novice, I have to admit. You people watching at home are probably far better, and you might have had more practice than me. Once you've done that, you can remove the cardboard like so. And there, you've got your little pom-pom. You might need a little bit of a haircut, but that is going to make the body of my rabbit or my chick or whatever animal you fancy making. So there we go, that's going to be the body. And then using the smaller pieces of card, you can do exactly the same thing again, but with smaller circles, which would then make the head of your chick or your rabbit or your spring animal. And you can glue the head to the body. Use some different coloured papers to make a beak or a nose. I use some spaghetti because I'm trying to use everything that I've got around my house without needing to go out. Spaghetti I just stuck through to make some whiskers. And if you've got some googly eyes, then do stick them on. Otherwise, something like peppercorns would work really, really well to make the eyes of your rabbit or your chick or whatever animal you choose. And if you try to be inventive and do a different animal, I'd love to see pictures. I hope you enjoy. These lovely Easter pictures, which I made with just glue, salt and paint, are a really lovely idea. Not only are they fun to do, but they make really nice little Easter pictures, and you could even use them as Easter cards. Although having tried these myself, I am going to say I did these a while ago, and they do get a little bit crispy, and you can see some of the salt and the glue is actually pouring off now, but they're really good fun. So I'm now going to show you how you can make your own. You will need some paper, doesn't matter, or some card, doesn't matter what colour. I use black because I think that the pictures stood out nicely onto the black card. You will need some PVA glue, some squirty PVA glue, some salt, some cook's salt, a paint palette with a brush and some water. Let's get going. Okay, so I have started drawing my picture with that glue. Okay, and I've decided on an egg with a cross in the middle, which incorporates both the idea of new life and the idea of Jesus' death on the cross. Okay, when you've done that, you take your salt and very carefully, a bit like you might do with glitter at school or wherever, you are going to sprinkle the salt until it is covering all of that glue. Okay, when you've done that, so you can save the leftover salt for your next picture. Please, whatever you do, don't put it back in the salt pot, because it's obviously been on the glue. Okay, so give a little shake around, and then I'm just going to, excuse me, while I just tip out the excess into a bowl, and I can use that excess to do my next picture. Now, with a really wet paintbrush, I'm going to choose a colour, and I'm going to try and pick up as much paint on my brush as I can, dip it back into the water, and then when I put it onto my picture, it starts, I don't know if you can see that, to fill up that salt. So then I'm going to choose a blue and then just touch. You don't need to paint anything, just touch on the salt and the colour starts to run. Here I am with my paint palette. Okay, and then dip back in the water again and then just watch as that colour bleeds into the salt. You're not painting a thing, you're letting the salt absorb the paint and the colour. And actually, I'm not sure that you can see the full effect on the video, but I promise you, it's really good fun watching it bleed into that salt there. I shall show you my finished product in a moment. Listen out for all the examples of new life in this story. It's called Good News, It's Easter by Glenys Nellis. Good news, cheers the tulip, springing from the ground. I once was lost in darkness, but now the sun I've found. Good news, bounces Bunny, hopping oh so high. I'm growing so much stronger, just watch me touch the sky. Good news, sings the oak leaf, dancing in a tree. I used to be so tiny, but now just look at me. Good news, laughs the monarch, opening her wings. I've gone from caterpillar to one who flies and sings. Good news, croaks the froggy, jumping from the pond. From teeny tiny tadpole, I've grown to super strong. Good news, chirps the chick-chick, peeking from her shell. This egg has kept me squashed up, but now I'll run so well. Good news, Jesus shouts, stepping from the cave. I was dead, but now I'm back, to live and love and save. I am about to do something new. See, I've already begun. So to film my little Easter garden, I've actually come outside into my garden in the beautiful spring sunshine. It's lovely out here today. So for starters, I've been out and I have found this nice shallow dish, okay, in the garden, and I filled it with some lovely moist compost, and I've made a kind of hill over this side and a bit of a dip here because that's where I'm going to put my small plant pot, which again I've just found lying around. I'm going to place that on the side there. There's my tomb. Now, it may or may not surprise you to know that we have a pet gecko in our house, and so we have some moss. He needs some moss. So I've found some moss, and I'm just going to place it over the top of my tomb, like that. It needs a bit of a water, it's a bit crispy, okay? And then I've also picked up some gravel, which I can put all of this back once I've finished after Easter, once I've finished with my garden. And I'm just going to place some of this gravel here in front of the tomb as a kind of pathway that Mary Magdalene might have walked on Easter Sunday. Okay, so that's all there. Now I found a big pebble, bigger rock, which I'm going to place next to my tomb just here, because don't forget, on Easter Sunday, when Mary Magdalene walked to the tomb, they found that it had been rolled away and that the tomb was empty. I have made a little cross with some sticks, which I'm going to place back here in the background of my garden, like that. Some little plastic flowers. It'd be really nice if you had the time to plant some of your own little flowers, little plants in there. That would look really, really nice. I'm just putting these here to be decorative for now. And I even found some little creatures that might have been around at that time. A little bird, perhaps sitting on top of the empty tomb, singing, just like I can hear the birds in my garden now. I have got some grass seed here actually, which you could sprinkle instead of moss perhaps. Give it a good water and you can watch that grow over time. That would be really nice. And of course, what would our Easter garden be with the tomb rolled away, the stone rolled away, and of course Jesus standing outside because he's risen again. Have fun making your own Easter garden.
Lavender. Oh, hi, Bubblegum. Would you like to try my Easter quiz? Your Easter quiz? Yeah, you see, I've been practicing and I think I've got it just about perfect. Perfect? Oh, well, I guess I'd better then. Hey, just say, do you think you could help me? I'll need to. It's really tricky. Or should I say, really chicky? Really chicky? Go on then, Bubblegum. On which day over Easter should you fry your eggs? Fry your eggs? Yeah. I don't know. On Good Friday, of course. Bubblegum, I'm not entirely sure Humpty Dumpty looks very happy in that frying pan. Oh, don't worry about him. He doesn't mind. Next question, Lavender. Are all questions going to be like that? How do Easter chicks start a football match? I wasn't actually sure Easter chicks played football. Oh, they do. They started with a chick-off. A chick-off? Yeah. And what's their best position in a team? Their best position in a football team? I don't know. On the wing, of course. Everybody likes a pair of chicken wings. Hey, you can chick off now. Next question. Do we have to? Ho, 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 boys and girls. Just a moment. Father Christmas? Yeah. How does Father Christmas celebrate Easter? I didn't know Father Christmas did celebrate Easter. Oh, yes, he does. You see, he remembers Ho, 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 Holy Week. I'm not sure I like that joke very much. How do you know Christmas comes before Easter? You just look in a dictionary. You see, in there, C always comes before E. C comes before what? How can everyone make Easter easier? By not telling awful jokes like this? Just use your eye. Use your eye? Yeah, Easter becomes easier. And I suppose the opposite of Easter is Wester. What do you call an Easter bunny with fleas? An Easter bunny with fleas? You call it Bugs Bunny. Oi, that's rude. Why should you always pick up snow before spring? Pick up snow before spring? Otherwise, you can't have any snowdrops. Ah! 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 Why should you never throw a party on Maundy Thursday? I don't know. Why? Because it's not party week, it's Holy Week. Part whole, get it? Party week and Holy Week? Come on, that joke is cheesier than a cheese. Ah! Are we done yet? Please tell me we're done. Why should you make rabbits run round in circles at Easter? I think I'm starting not to care. Because then there'd be hot cross bunnies. That's it. I'm off. I've had enough. this is the best one, Lavender. You're gonna love this. Am I? Yeah. What's the greatest Easter symbol of all? That's a good question, Bubblegum. The greatest Easter symbol of all? I'm not sure. What is? This! But what do you think the greatest symbol of Easter really is, Bubblegum? Well, I don't think it's bunnies. Stick it. Chicks. Or eggs. No, I think it's this. A cross. Oh yeah, because a cross is where Jesus gave his life to save us all. Yeah, you see, even though it's a painful symbol of suffering, it helps us remember that Jesus gave everything to show us how to follow God and how to be saved. Yeah, and of course, on Easter Day, Jesus was back forever, and we can pray to him whenever we like. And we can sing. Do you fancy a song? What did you want to sing? Well, what about a song that puts the whole of Jesus' life into one line? Yeah, he came from heaven to earth, from earth to the cross to the grave, and the grave to the sky. Do you know a song with those lines? Yeah, just join in whenever you feel ready.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high.
My turn now.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high.
Shall we do one more chorus? Why not? Ready, guys? Here we go!
You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high.
That's a really fun song, Lavender. Yeah, well, you see, Bubblegum, Easter might start by remembering Jesus' suffering, But it doesn't have to finish that way. No, Jesus comes back to life, and we all have hope of forever living with him. All we have to do is follow his way and believe. That sure is an amazing message, Lavender. Yeah, we hope you all have a wonderful Easter too. After all, with a little faith and Jesus' love, what more do you need? Nothing. Well, maybe... Maybe what? Just a chocolate Easter egg or two. Bubblegum? Well, God gave us chocolate too. Whatever.
So just before our messy church comes to a close, let's see how well you did in the quiz. Question 1, people fast or give something up during Lent. Question 2, the week leading up to Easter is called Holy Week. Question 3, people waved palm leaves at Jesus as he rode into Jerusalem. Question 4, the day we remember Jesus' last supper with his friends is Maundy Thursday. Question 5, the garden where Jesus was arrested is the Garden of Gethsemane. Question 6, the friend who betrayed Jesus was called Judas Iscariot. Question 7, Good Friday is the day that Christians remember Jesus being crucified on the cross. Barabbas is the man who was released instead of Jesus. Number 9, after his crucifixion, Jesus' body was placed in a tomb. Question 10, Jesus rose again after 3 days. Question 11, Easter Sunday is the name we give to the day we celebrate Jesus' resurrection. Question 12, the first person to see Jesus after his resurrection was Mary Magdalene. Question 13, yes, it's true that the first Easter eggs were dyed red to remember Jesus dying on the cross. How did you do?
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the signs of spring and new life around us. Thank you for the spring sunshine, warmer longer days and the better news on the horizon. Help us to remember you this Easter time, the good news that you died for us and rose again. Thank you for reminding us that new life brings hope and happiness. Amen.
So, from all of the Messy Church team at Trinity URC Wimbledon, we'd all like to wish you a really happy Easter. Bye.